All right, let's talk about something that's, well, a pretty big deal. You get that spark, that idea for a research project. But how do you know if it's actually any good? That's what we're breaking down today. How to turn that little flicker of an idea into a research problem that can make a real impact. Let's get into it. So, you've got a question you're dying to explore. That's fantastic, really. But here's the challenge every single researcher faces: figuring out if that idea has what it takes to become a powerful, meaningful study. How can you tell if you've really landed on something great? You can think of it like building a house. If your foundation is weak or cracked, it doesn't matter how great the rest of the house is, right? The whole thing is at risk. Your research problem is that foundation. The quality of that initial question really sets the stage for everything that follows. Okay, so the very first filter your idea needs to pass through is significance. This isn't just about whether it's interesting to you, it's about asking the bigger question: does this actually matter to the wider world, especially in a field as important as nursing? So, what do we really mean by significance? It boils down to this: your research has to have the potential to add real value. This isn't about doing research just for the sake of it. It's about generating knowledge that can be applied to improve people's lives and move the entire profession forward. And here's how you know you're on the right track. A truly significant problem does at least one of these things. It fills a hole in what we currently know. It directly helps improve patient care. It raises the bar for nursing practice, or it tackles a pressing current issue in healthcare. Basically, it has to benefit someone: the patients, the nurses, or the community as a whole. And here is a perfect example of significance in action. At first glance, this might just look like a table of data from a study on chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. But by analyzing these patient characteristics, researchers can spot patterns. And those patterns, they can lead to more tailored, more effective treatments. This isn't just data, it's a roadmap to better care. That's what we're talking about. Next up, is it feasible? Can it actually be done? Okay, let's say your idea is incredibly significant. That is great, but it's only half the battle. Now comes the ultimate reality check: feasibility. You could have the most groundbreaking idea in history, but if you can't actually do the study, it'll always just be an idea. Feasibility is all about the practical side of things. It's where you have to ask those tough, honest questions. Given the resources I have, the time I have, is this project actually possible? It's where the grand vision meets the real world. And here are the nuts and bolts of it. You have to think about time. Do you have enough of it? Money. Is there a budget? And a big one: subjects. Can you find enough willing participants? You also need things like equipment, facilities, and support from your colleagues and institution. Seriously, overlooking any one of these can bring a project to a grinding halt. Now, this brings us to a really important distinction. Your problem has to be researchable. So look at the example on the left. You can measure the effect of a new dressing on wound healing time. You can collect data, you can analyze it. But on the right, you have a question that's about a moral judgment. Should nurses assist with euthanasia? That's a vital debate for sure. But you can't answer a should question with data. It's just not empirically testable. Okay, beyond the practical and the significant, we have to talk about the human side of research. And that involves two key groups of people: you, the researcher, and, of course, the people who will participate in your study. Let's start with you. Look, research is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a long process, and it's gonna get tough. You absolutely need to have a genuine, deep interest in your topic to push you through those challenges. And, of course, you have to have the competence, the right skills and knowledge to actually do this study properly. And now, for what is arguably the most important piece of the puzzle: the ethical dimension. This is completely non-negotiable. The number one priority is, and always will be, protecting the human beings who participate in your study. No scientific question is ever worth compromising their safety or well-being, period. So we've covered a ton of ground here: significance, feasibility, the human element. It's a lot to juggle. So how do you pull it all together into a simple tool? Well, that's where something called the finer checklist comes in. This framework is just a fantastic way to quickly run your research problem through all the key criteria we've been talking about. It's a really powerful mental model to keep in your back pocket. Okay, let's just walk through it real quick. F is for feasible. Can you actually do it? I is for interesting. Are you and your peers genuinely curious about the answer? N is for novel. Is it adding something new to the conversation? E is for ethical. Will it get approved by an ethics board? And finally, R is for relevant. Does it matter for science or clinical practice? FINER. That is your go-to checklist. So as we wrap up, let's circle back to the whole point of all this careful planning. Why go through all this trouble? Well, it's about setting yourself up for discovery. At the end of the day, a well-chosen, significant, and feasible problem isn't just an academic box to check. It is the essential first step toward creating knowledge that can actually improve nursing practice, shape policy, and ultimately make patients' lives better. It's how you make sure your hard work has a real, lasting impact. So I'll leave you with this question. Now that you're armed with these criteria, with the finer framework, you have the tools to go from just an idea to a really powerful research question. So what's it going to be? What gap in our knowledge will you be the one to fill? What problem will you solve?